Hi, this is Deon Yates, standing here with Richard Elliot at the PJLA booth right here at NAMM. Richard, could you tell us a little bit about the horn that you're playing?
Yeah, this is Sax Dakota. They're amazing horns that they make, and the gentleman that is the brainchild of this horn, Pete LaPlaca, is a great guy. I've known him for years and years, played LA sax for years and years, and this is the next step in the evolution. This is an amazing instrument, very open and free-blowing, nice big fat tone, which my influences were always the big fat tenor players, you know, in my past, you know, King Curtis and people like that had the big tenor sound, people like Dexter Gordon, and this horn has that big fat sound, but it's got a lot of bite, a lot of definition to it also. It's everything I like in a horn, man. I love it.
Okay, now we're here at NAMM, and there's a lot of instrument manufacturers out here. There's a lot of saxophones. As far as the best for the buck price range and the quality of instrument, how would you compare this to some of the other models out there?
Well, I think, you know, again, going back to Pete and his approach has always been the idea of giving you a lot of value for your dollar. I wouldn't call these horns being priced over the top. They are professional level horns. It's not like you're buying something that is, you know, professional level and you're paying student grade prices, but it's aggressively priced. I'll say that it's not over the top. And I know you know what I'm talking about. Right. Some manufacturers are, because of maybe their name being old and part of a lineage that goes back many years, figure that means that they can charge 3 times as much. And that's definitely not the case here. It's an affordable horn, but it's definitely every bit a professional horn. And like I say, I love it, and I've used it on my latest CD, and I love how it records. That's the other thing. It's great mic'd up. Yeah. I'm sure you know that too. They translate really well live and on recording.
Nobody heard of Microsoft until about 10 years after it became a great success, and the same thing holds true with a lot of other brands that are out there. Many years ago, we launched a revolutionary line of saxophones and brass ones called LA Sax, LA Horns. That was in 1987, and we revolutionized the finishing of saxophones at that particular point in time, and with great success. That company had a life cycle of about 15 years. I sold it, took a break for about 2 years, and then came on back with some better quality instruments. And the bottom line here, folks, is that a lot of companies build good horns, excellent horns. Few companies build great horns like we do. So we take a considerable amount of pride in the superb quality of our trumpets and our saxophones, and we'll continue to do that, just to make sure that we're delivering the best quality product out to the marketplace. We're here this year. We're here only because we've got some of the great horns, saxophones and trumpets and flugels, and we're looking forward to some greater demonstrations the rest of today and following up on a 4-day show that has been absolutely fantastic. More importantly, we've had so many great comments from players and dealers around that are excited about the quality of our products, the pricing programs, as well as the availability. So from there on, we're kind of flying high. The LA Sax Company was early on one of the major artist endorsing companies. We had somewhere in the vicinity of 50, maybe 60 saxophone and trumpet players who were playing our instruments, endorsing them throughout the entire world. And I always felt that the players, the artists, were our best ambassadors to the public, and at the same time probably more responsible for getting the message out that we had good horns and therefore eventually some good sales. I'm just carrying through with that tried and true tradition of taking full advantage of the players that are out there, giving them great horns, giving them the kind of exposure that they need, and it benefits both of us. We do as much for our artist endorsers as they do for us, and we both come away in a win-win situation. Richard Elliot has been with us for about a year with the Dakota Saxophone Company. Richard was part of the LA Sax Company for about 10 years. And I used to listen to Richard on WNUA on the Chicago Smooth Jazz station and was always impressed with his sound, enjoyed his interviews, and eventually was able to visit with him at the Cubby Bear restaurant just outside of Wrigley Field in Chicago, where he was playing a show. And we went up, introduced ourselves. There were several of us from the LA Sax Company, and within a moment, Richard and I realized that we had a great mutual opportunity. And from there on in, he became one of our major, if not leading, artist endorsers for the LA Sax Company. And right about now with Dakota, he's right up on top one more time, setting the pace, setting the standards for our instruments as well as performances. About 10 years ago, we decided that one of our initial marketing attempts after I sold the LA Sax Company was to get into the trumpet business. A good friend of mine, Wayne Tanabe in Chicago, who owned the Brass Bow, was a reputed top-notch repair tech guy for trumpets in the Chicago area. Wayne and I became good friends, along with a couple of people that were originally a part of the LA Trumpet, LA Sax Company. We started to design the Phaeton trumpets in those early days along the lines of the Monette brand aesthetically, but we didn't want that additional weight, unnecessary weight, and the characteristics of the Monette, which had to do with a one-piece construction throughout. We wanted to capitalize on some of the aesthetics, improve the mechanics, and at the same time bring out a horn that was truly different and inspirational. We were able to do that in about 2 years, and eventually launched the flugelhorn line right alongside of it. And once again, our claim to fame there, in addition to the great product, were our unique finishes, which seem to be at the top of the list with a lot of players who are looking to be either different or take full advantage of the aesthetic relationship they have between the horn and themselves. Our altos, our tenors, our sopranos should be viewed significantly different. For example, the Yanagisawa soprano seems to be the preferred soprano of a lot of players out there because of its superb intonation. We were very pleased in the last couple of years where players have traded in their Yanagisawa in favor of our straight soprano only because of the design, the one-piece design concept, the fact that the horn does play as good, if not better, and the intonation is far better than that. As far as the altos and tenors are concerned, we've done a lot of new things, but we've kept with the tradition of the early on 30s and 40s Mark VI fingering positioning, just to make sure that we didn't fall into a trap of doing something so different that a player would have to relearn his very comfortable hand positions that most players were accustomed to using, which are the original Selmer style. So in that regard, we were able to continue on by capturing that traditional finger positionings. One of the things that we did that was rather extensive was to reduce the thickness of the key cups and to also reduce the thickness of the pads, producing a harder pad, a pad that held its crease and also was less motion in terms of closure, time, and distance. In addition to that, we also have stainless steel long rods on all of our saxophones, so the torque time for closure is virtually instantaneous. Along with the finishing, we think our overall 77% copper content for all of our alloys in the brass construction of the horns make a difference in the sonority and the resonance of the instrument.
Thank you.